Do you struggle to be consistent and you find yourself like starting like a new habit? For example, going to the gym, for example, your prayer life as a Christian, being consistent with praying consistently, reading the word, and so forth. If that is you, then this video is for you. So, like you, I also found myself struggling with consistency. And consistency is still a battle, to be honest. But what I'm about to share with you is gonna help you. So my name is Ko Mohammed and this is my YouTube channel. This is kind of like my first official video, and what you can expect from my videos is more things focused on self-help, self-improvement, Christianity, maybe poetry, I don't know. I like to say that I can't box myself, I can't place myself in a box. As an entrepreneur, I can't box myself. As a poet, I can't box myself. As a creator, I can't box myself. So I just prefer to call myself Ko Mohammed. And the only thing I can identify myself is a son of the Most High, a son of God. So that's the only thing I can identify myself as, but I cannot place myself in a box to say that I can only stick to a certain thing or a certain genre. So essentially you will find everything on this YouTube channel. Not saying that it will like be out of order or anything, but that's not what I mean. So anyway, let's jump into the video. There's this concept called progressive overload, right? And it's more like a type of work, a jump concept, if I may put it that way. It's a jump concept. So when you go to the gym, right, especially if you're like a beginner, what you find that is you typically overestimate how much weight you can pick up. So like I know this like from personal experience, like I would go maybe to the squat rack and I would try and lift like 20s on each side for the first time, and it's like, bro, like you literally can't do that. You literally can't, you literally can't like lift 20 kgs on each side because it's like your first set. So yeah, just something we do. It's called ego lifting. But anyway, so with this concept, progressive overload, the key is that as a beginner, for example, like I made with the chummy, you get there, you realize 20 kg on each side is too much, right? So now you bump it down to 215s, you realize, okay, almost there, so now you bump it down to 10. So as you get to 10, you realize, okay, this is the sweet spot, and this is manageable for me, right? You move on, 4 weeks go by, 10 is now easy for you, like it's no sweat. So now, progressively, you overload what you were doing, right? And I remember in my personal prayer life, how I used to think like there was times where I would have like a quiet time of 2 hours, and there would be times where I would like fall off for a couple of days, and I would expect myself to, I would always weigh myself up to that threshold of 2 hours. And it's like, because I'm not doing 2 hours, I'm now beating myself up about it, and then I totally find myself not consistent at all again. And it's like, if it's not 2 hours, then it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I think we fall into this all or nothing mindset sometimes, and that's why we sometimes discard totally the things that we're doing. We discard our goals totally, because like, if I can't make $1 million in a year, or can't start a successful business in 1 year, then what's the use? All or nothing type of thing, right? So that's not a wise way to look at things. That's not the way we should look at things, right? So coming back to your life, right? I love universal principles. I love principles that you can apply to each and every single part of your life, right? So we are taking this concept, progressive overload. Number one, be realistic when it comes to your goals. Don't be like an ego lifter and try and lift 20 kgs or 40 kgs or 50 kgs on your first lift. try and realize what you can manage. Like what I'm currently doing is like I always used to fall off with my exercise routine, right? So I would have a goal and I would have a standard. That's my point too, by the way. But anyway, I would have a goal and I would have a standard. So you have to have a goal for, let's say, a habit that you want to enforce in your life. So for me, that is exercise. I love exercise. So the way I try and be consistent with exercise, I would say, is my goal is to work out 4 times a week, right? And I have 20 minutes of cardio sessions. So that's like my goal. Like I wanna do that personally 4 times a week, right? And my standard is 3 times a week for 10 minutes. So I'm gonna try and differentiate between a goal and a standard, in kind of like in my own terms, but it's something I read somewhere like in a book or so. The goal is obviously clear, right? So with your goal, that's the thing that you're aiming for. Like for example, in my case, I want to jump 4 times a week, 20 minutes each session, right? That's a small thing anyway. So basically your standard is on the days that you don't feel like doing it, right? So for example, my standard would be 3 times a week for 10 minutes each session. So mentally, there's like this mental barrier that you have to move past. And I like to say that consistency versus intensity, right? Consistency versus intensity. Consistency always wins. Always. So if you are gonna save money for 3 weeks, whether it's a 10,000 every week versus someone saving maybe a 1,000 every month, after 5 years, your 3 weeks worth of money is gonna be way less than the person that saved for 5 years because he was consistent. That's just a random example anyway. So the standard is there to ensure that you are consistent, right? You have to be consistent because consistency brings real results. Imagine going to the gym, right, for 6 months and you get the body that you want and you stop all of a sudden. So now you're inconsistent, right? So you are a guy with good genetics versus someone with bad genetics going to the gym for 2 to 5 years and you feel like you can rely on your good genetics. Maybe this is a bad example, but anyway, the guy that's more consistent will end up having a better body and better health than you because you decided to stop at 6 months when you look good and now you started to lose your gains. So what I'm trying to say is consistency is where the true power is. So long as I am consistent, I can progressively overload, right? So that's where the progressive overload comes in, okay? So now when 20 minutes times 4 a week becomes easy for me, I can bump it up to 30 minutes times 4 a week. When that becomes easy for me, then I can work out 5 times a week for half an hour. When that becomes easy for me, I can now incorporate more exercises in, like lifting weights. So progressively, I'm getting to where I want to be. So when you start in the gym, who wants to start with 5 kg weights? I mean, come on, right? You know you have to start somewhere. So, for example, even in your studies, right? No one wants to study for half an hour because obviously you're not going to reap the benefits of it. But your attention span has not been trained to go for 2 hours, to go for 4 hours. I do not recommend that, by the way. But anyway, your attention span is not being exercised to the point where you can study for an hour straight. So obviously, an half an hour for someone who does not study, who's not used to studying, or even 15 minutes, right? We need to stop being unrealistic And that's where this concept of progressive overload comes in. A bonus tip that I'd like to give you would be something called Don't Break the Chain. I've downloaded like a habit tracker on the Play Store, right? So on this habit tracker, I'm able to check my progress. So I would write basically what I want to achieve and track it across a certain period of time. So then I would tick it off each day, and then it would show like a percentage of how consistent I am, and that would be 100%, 80%, 60%. So you get streaks, right? So if you do 6 weeks, it will say 6 weeks streak or 30-day streak or whatever. And just looking at these streaks, just looking at these streaks musters up so much motivation to go even further. These things you can apply to literally any area of your life. As a Christian, you can apply it to your prayer life, the principle of progressive overload, and even tracking how consistent you've been in prayer, tracking how consistent you've been in the Word. And these things, they help so much, right? I'll try and link the app that I use in the description. So that's basically my video in a nutshell, right? So you wanna be consistent because, like I said, the long run is always better than the short-term intensity. So you wanna be consistent. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, honestly, because this is my first time shooting a video. It feels good, it feels natural, I enjoy it, and I really hope you found it informative. So I try to be authentic, I try to be myself. So yeah, just to recap, number 1, set a goal and the standard. And number 2, do not break the chain. So when you set the goal and the standard, it's first the actual goal you want and the standard that will keep you consistent. And when you don't want to break the chain, it's about building up a streak so that you are less likely to break the streak to keep you even more consistent. So thank you guys for watching. Like this video and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so that you can be notified for whenever I post more videos. Goodbye.